We are looking at 3 ways to get unstuck. It's the beginning of the year, but it's the end of January at the time of this recording. And this is the time of year when most of us, most people, have already set goals or intentions or resolutions, whatever it is that you do. And then we find ourselves at this point in the month feeling like, okay, now what? So I have been making pretty great progress on a couple of new intentions, and I am looking forward to the rest of the year. And I have felt a similar thing like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get moving on some of these things? So I thought that I would take you through what I personally do a few times every year. It's kind of like once every season or so, that have been helping me to get unstuck. So this is part of the Healing with Prosperity series for the podcast. So welcome if you're new here. My name is Serenity Iris, and I love to help people to be thriving in their health, well-being, and also their businesses, while bringing in ideas around spirituality, masculine, feminine energies. So we're going to be getting into some of these things. So this is actually the second part of the Healing with Prosperity series. And in the other episode, if you haven't checked it out already, we looked at the emotional aspects of healing. This episode is really going to be about more of the physical, tangible things that we could be doing. So we're going to get into those 3 things together today. So clearing out your space. We've all heard it. Declutter, purge things out, clear out your closets, make space for the new. And it's something that I do like to do regularly. But there's something about that when I'm not always in, the right frame of mind to be doing that. It doesn't always land. I don't know if you can resonate with that. But I'll tell you, it's more than just about your closet. You can get a similar kind of experience when you clear out your desk, your physical desk, or it could be your computer desktop. So just going through and organizing things, deleting files that don't need to be there, putting the physical objects away. It really does something. It was so interesting because I was tuning in with my higher self and they were encouraging me to declutter, and I thought, really, that's the guidance I'm being given? Like, I want to be making big plans for the new year and this and this, and they're saying, no, decluttering is a good idea. And I will tell you, once I started to really get into the groove of it, there's a little resistance, like, I want to be working on more important things. But it comes down to like, well, if there's no space for me to operate and work with a clear mind and clear energy, then it is very important to declutter. So it could be any aspect of your physical space. You could start with one thing at a time so you don't get overwhelmed, but decluttering a space. So it could be your closet, could be your physical desk, could be your desktop, it could be a room, it could be, you choose, but start with one and then go systematically through that one space that you are intentionally decluttering, and being really present with that, acknowledging, what has served you up until now, but something maybe that you want to release. And as you release each and every one of those things, and you are physically making space in your computer, on your desktop, in your closet, it will start to feel lighter and lighter. And then naturally what happens is all of the creative ideas and the connections in your mind, the plans, they start to come organically and beautifully and almost magically. So that's number 1. That's number 1. Okay, your calendar. Ooh, this is a big one. So I was on an amazing call with some members this morning, just before this, and we were talking about one way to clear space isn't necessarily to prepare the space, clear out the closet for the new outfits that are going to come in. It might be that you bring in a big chunky piece of furniture that you've ordered and you've either picking it up from the store or are getting it delivered now, but you haven't cleared out your space in your home. You haven't made space in the room where it's supposed to go yet. So this piece of furniture is coming now, and you've got to clear out the space. So I did this recently with my calendar. I didn't order a big chunky piece of furniture in this example, but it's an analogy. I had decided to take up really learning Spanish, like not just dabbling and being mediocre with it, but like really signing up for a series of professional lessons and doing it for real this time. But it's not like I had all this empty space in my calendar for, regular, consistent Spanish lessons. I had to decide on this. So in this case, Spanish lessons was my big chunky piece of furniture that I ordered. It arrived, and now I had to look at my calendar to rearrange and set different priorities or move things around so that the lessons would fit in. So maybe you have a project or some kind of a goal or intention, probably not to learn Spanish, or maybe if it is, say so in the comments. But you choose your intention and your goal, and you just decide on it. And it's a non-negotiable. It means something to you, right? So it's not just like a wish or hope. So you've already decided, which means you've already brought it into your space, your home, into your calendar. And I would start with that, like plug it in to your calendar, put it in. And this is, the first step of this is usually kind of a theory, unless maybe you're booking a personal trainer and you're going to be booking that trainer 3 times a week. So you're going to pay for it. You're going to commit to it. These are the times that you're committing to. So in that case, yeah, it's done, it's set. But for other goals, sometimes it doesn't have that other person. If you can get accountability, this is a bonus one related to the calendar. Get it, set it up for yourself. But maybe it's like Spanish lessons, right? So I had to mark in my calendar first when I could imagine doing it, when I was going to commit to doing it, and I put it in. And then all of the other pieces, I had to kind of shuffle around or re-examine. Do I have to do this? Can I delegate this out? Can I stop doing it? Can I do this at a different time? Can I consolidate it, and can I get it done in a shorter amount of time? So it was a really interesting lesson. So it was like bringing in that big chunky furniture allowed me to quickly create the space for it. Parents will go through this all the time. It's not like you have this leisurely, we have so much time to raise a baby. Usually what happens is baby arrives, and then you're like, okay, this is the actual amount of space we've got to clear out, time and energy we've got to put toward raising this human being. So it's kind of similar, but we're looking at your calendar and how it relates to your goals and intentions. All right, the third key is, I hinted at this with accountability earlier, but it's getting the right support, and often in the form of guidance, mentorship. And this is huge because we are all in our own little bubbles where we have our own regular standards and the things that we get used to. And if we don't regularly seek out and work with, could be a coach or a mentor or some kind of guidance to help you shift your perspective so that you are seeing things differently, so that you're coming from a different awareness, it's like you have blinders on and you're in your own little bubble, and you'll continue to live with your own blind spots until they're not blind anymore, until a coach or mentor is like, hey, have you ever considered this perspective for your life, your relationship, your health, your business? So getting the right support, this is key number 3. It's so huge. I could have really started with this one because it's probably the most important, because oftentimes then clearing the space, then clearing your calendar will happen automatically based on the recommendations that a great mentor will share with you. So this is something that we were looking at in the call this morning, where someone was asking about, okay, so how do you deal with rejection as related to her business? She's kind of stepping into a new chapter of her growth in business. And it really is like every time you go for something new, there's going to be some aspect of fear or apprehension, or what if it doesn't work, right? So not so much on the question. I think I'll have to do another episode on that particular theme, but I'm sharing that piece as an example because there could be something that's really stopping you, that's keeping you stuck, right? That's preventing you from taking that next step, even if you know what that next step is. So if you have mentorship, coaching, or accountability, ideally like all of that in place, you will manage to do the thing. It's been shown people who can state their goals are much more likely to achieve their goal, which is kind of obvious. If you can state it, you have some clarity with it. But then people who can state it and can write it will have an even higher chance of accomplishing it. People who can state it, who can write it, and then have some accountability around that is the highest level of really getting it done. So if you can figure out a way, right? The personal training example is a great example because there's built-in accountability there, but you can build that in your business too. You can build that in other aspects as well of your life as well. So if you've been kind of sitting on the fence and can feel like you're in this ambiguous state of just feeling sort of stuck, or feeling like you're like every day is kind of similar, and you know there's another whole other level for you to be experiencing, you might consider checking out one of my free trainings, and I'll leave the description for the masterclass. It's totally free in the description, and it'll start to just help you to see from a different perspective. You know, whether or not we even work together at all, that's not really the point. It's just so that you can understand how, like, once you know what the blind spot is, then how do we go about rewiring the subconscious mind? How do we go about rewiring that programming so that you go from a place of being stuck to unstuck and moving forward on your dreams, on your intentions, on your goals? Like, we're at the beginning of the year, we have the rest of the year to go. You have the rest of your life to go, but really being intentional and having those three keys are so huge, right? So preparing your space, making sure it's in your calendar, and that you have some great support in the form of mentorship, guidance, and accountability. So huge. So let me know if you resonated with this. I would really, really love to hear if you wanted to share maybe one of your intentions, right, for this year. What would that be? What is that? Is this how you're going to be showing up differently? Is this maybe one of your business goals? Is this a personal goal for you? And I'd love to cheer you on. So if you enjoyed this, feel free to subscribe and like and share this, comment. It really means a lot to me. It sort of gives me the encouragement to keep going and to get a pulse on what you are resonating with, what you're finding beneficial. And I'm going to be continuing with the third part of the Healing with Prosperity series, so be sure to check out that episode when it's released. But thank you so much. I'm Serenity Iris. If you wanted to check out any of our other trainings, feel free to go to serenityiris.com. And otherwise, I will see you, and I'll talk to you soon.